So Joe Biden, he gave a speech in a mask
I didn't see
yesterday.
that. Really?
And so, yeah, it wasn't a long speech, but he gave a talk like in a mask. So he's not even taking it off once he gets to the microphone. Like he's trying to show, look how incredibly cautious I am. But if you just if you remove yourself from this crazy year, I think it would be obvious to anyone, like, this is just, you're demonstrating weakness. Like just imagine, right, outside of 2020, if someone was such a germaphobe that they did that, and you were like running for president, everyone would acknowledge, like, this is an incredibly weak position. Now, things are a little different in 2020, but I wonder if there's not still some of that, same human psychology that's like, this is a guy who's afraid of his own shadow. That's what you're projecting.
Also, if you're hiring someone to do a job, I don't want the guy who's going to be so careful he can't do the job. That doesn't make sense. Like, if you're telling me, hey, it's high risk and I'm high risk, so I got to be really careful, then okay, I guess someone else should be doing this job then. You're going to have to make some important decisions, have to get together with people. Like, if you can't do it because you're in this sick or this pre-existing condition group, then, you better speak up now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they were also trying to hit Donald Trump because he got in the car and drove around to go see the people who were marching.
Yeah, he wanted to let people know he's still baller. He's still got a limo. He can still wave, and he's still better than you.
Yeah, well, he was wearing a mask, which was a different look for Donald Trump. But they're trying to hit him now, like, oh, he put the Secret Service, at risk, which is just, to me, listen, I kind of get the argument, but it's just kind of funny to be concerned about putting the Secret Service at risk. Like, that's literally their job, is to be at risk. That's the whole thing that they sign up for. And like, yeah, look, if the president has an illness, the Secret Service are still going to be protecting him. And so, yeah, they're going to be at risk for that.
Also,
but that's part of the job.
The same people weren't exposed driving him to the hospital.
Well, right.
They really changed the shift. So the people that were around him for all the days prior.
Yeah. And I get the argument. You could say, well, this trip was unnecessary, but it still just doesn't.
They're either exposed or they weren't. Like, I don't get it. You were either,
Yeah, and it doesn't, I don't know, it just, the whole thing seems like, it just seems like Trump, as he always manages to do, whether intentionally or in some type of like Inspector Gadget way, where he just like falls into these situations, like, but he always seems to lure his enemies onto fighting him on ground where they're very vulnerable. Like, and they seem to almost be so blinded by their contempt and their desire to get Donald Trump out that they don't even see that. They're like, yeah, this might not be the strongest position to be arguing from. You're out here arguing that, oh my God, this guy took risks in order to get reelected. He put himself in a vulnerable situation. But you don't see the flip side to that is that you could just as easily call that bravery. You could just as easily say, like, oh yeah, Donald Trump is not worried about his health. He wants to go out there and do the job, Now, I don't know if any of these are the truth, but I'm just saying, in terms of politics, don't you see that could be flipped on you very easily?
Well, we seem to be in such a backwards framework of this year where they've shamed people for wanting to take on risk and go work and provide for their families. Like, that has been seen as an evil. So, yes, normal world, it would be very honorable for an old, unhealthy president to go, listen, I'm still working because I have a job and it's to represent you. And anyone else who has a job and they feel like they need to go do it, I get that these are hard times, but we got to work. You got to go provide. And so I'm out on the front lines working myself. It's up to you, the decision you want to make, but you got to work.
Yeah. I wonder, I wonder how this is all going to play out. And
I think he's also got an amazing opportunity to flip the conversation and start talking about drug regulations and all of the ways that the current system are working against people. So when he's been slammed on healthcare, and he's even been taught, like in the last debate, it was so interesting because he didn't know, honestly, which side was lying. Is Trump lying that there's going to be a cure in a couple months, or is there truly some sort of a political something going on here that won't let good drugs get to market in a reasonable fashion? So now you got to break down what's going on here. Firstly, Trump's a fucking baller because there's two different medications and they went to him, hey, they're risky. And usually people only take one. You go, just give me both. I don't care. I'm going to fucking snort both those. I don't give a shit. Let's do it. You get drugs. And he did that. He took both remdesivir, which is like the main one. And then he took a totally different therapy and they work in two different ways. But what's interesting is I mean, this is just the most backwards thing in the world. So remdesivir, or whatever the fuck it's pronounced, it's not quite available. It's not readily available on the market because it's not totally approved. But for compassionate cases, they'll let you take the dangerous thing. Or if you're the most important person in the country, then you can take, like, these things are too dangerous. They're experimental. We can't get approval. It's dangerous unless you're the most important person, in which case, like, we're not going to guinea pig it. There's something broken in the FDA in terms of that. It would seem that if not for some sort of politics or regulation agencies, we could get this stuff to market quicker. And you shouldn't have to be the president to make a decision for yourself and your own health if you want to take on the risk of taking a certain medication. Perhaps. I mean, listen, we're getting into the weeds a little. I'm just saying there's something backwards here where the dangerous thing is only available to the most important person. Something doesn't make sense.
You're absolutely right. And of course, a lot of people on the left do believe that really important decisions should be made between you and your doctor without government interfering, except they only believe that when it's killing babies. So you just have to apply that same logic to a situation where it's not killing a baby, where it's just you're trying to save a life, which is what, old-fashioned right-wingers like myself think medicine is supposed to be about, saving lives. But it's unbelievable that this argument even has to be made that a patient and a doctor shouldn't be able to discuss the options, and if a doctor is willing to give you something, they should be allowed to do that, and that the government should get involved in that. It's like crazy. And so, it does open the door for that conversation. But I also think that, it's kind of like, I feel like, and I obviously this is speculating, but I think pretty much everyone knows this, that from the beginning of this, the media and Trump's political enemies were always kind of rooting for him to get it. That was always like right under the surface, was just rooting for Donald Trump to get COVID. And part of that was that they're trying to play up the fear of COVID. And they are furious that at least at some points, Donald Trump was trying to play down the fears of COVID. And it's not as if he was consistently doing that. I wish he was consistently doing that, but he wasn't. This is the same guy who declared a national emergency. It
was weird. I feel like Trump got kind of bullied into shutting down and taking it seriously. And he would have preferred to have gone the, hey, we all got to work route. And I get that this is dangerous, but guys, this isn't the end of the world. We got to push forward.
Yes.
He somehow managed to lose the media battle on that, where that was shamelessly, you're going to lead to death. Like, no conversation about,
It's crazy because this is the real problem with Donald Trump. And it's like so the opposite of what everyone who hates Donald Trump says. But the real problem with Donald Trump is not that he's this mean, tough guy. It's that he actually bitches out. Like, tell me the one time, even the people who are Trump supporters, tell me the one time on a policy issue, okay? Not just on like tweets online or something like that, but the one time on a policy issue where they really came at him and he stood his ground and said, no, we're doing this. Honestly, it's not a rhetorical question. Tweet me, post on the comments. Let me know. When was the time that the media circled him and all pressured him and he said, nope, we're doing this? I don't care. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you say you're going to destroy me, that I didn't take this thing seriously enough. We're not shutting down the economy. We're not overreacting to this. I don't care if you tell me the Kurds will be slaughtered. We're pulling those troops out. Like when was it? When did he do this? Donald Trump always folds when they actually come at him. And that's what he did with this. And now he can't position himself purely as the open the economy guy. Joe wants to close the economy guy. Now he's got to go, Joe wants to close it, I want to open it. I'm the one who closed it, and I closed it for good reason, and we should have closed it, but we didn't. We closed it enough, and now we have to open. And this is too convoluted.